Welcome back to the County News Podcast. I'm Nicole Weissman.
And I'm Charlie Ban.
And today we're talking about a new pilot program from NACo's Tech Exchange. It's called the CIO Reserves. And here, CIO, for folks who aren't familiar, stands for Chief Information Officer. We're talking about IT capabilities. And what's exciting about this program is that with more and more dependence on IT capabilities, and I think you'll hear in the conversation today that this is something that just extends across county roles, small counties don't always have dedicated staff, and they're relying for these IT capabilities on outside vendors, which can be costly. We're instead here proposing that there are folks who are former CIOs or potentially kind of bridging the gap with folks who are currently in the role who can help provide some of that capacity, not taking the place of jobs, but instead taking the place of expensive outside services. Is that right, Charlie?
That's right. For a lot of these counties that have limited staff to work on their IT capabilities, they're relying on outside vendors who probably don't have experience in public sector systems. So they don't even know what they need. The counties don't even know what they need.
We're bringing in that specialized county perspective. So for this, you actually had a conversation with three different folks. Talk us through who's part of this conversation and kind of what they're speaking to.
So Rita Reynolds is NACo's CIO. She's also in charge of her tech exchange, and she sees a wide range of what counties of different sizes need and can offer each other. Tom Lynch is Cook County, Illinois' CIO, and his experience in IT matters reflects the vast responsibilities this county handles. Tammy Tincher is a Greenbrier County, West Virginia commissioner and NACo's Northeast Regional Representative. Greenbrier is a smaller rural county, and her experience reflects more of what you see around the country.
Sounds great. Let's jump into it.
Commissioner Tincher, tell me about Greenbrier County briefly and basically how you run your IT operation.
Well, Greenbrier County is a rural county in West Virginia, and we have about 32,000 residents. We have under 150 employees, and we contract out our IT service to a local technology company that sets our systems up whenever they're needed. They're on a call on call whenever we need them, as far as just setting up computer systems, making sure that our securities and things are in place for protection, but not anything in depth, knowing that we don't have a in-house employee who manages that, and we're dependent upon the contract company to make sure that we have everything in line.
How many counties are dealing with the same situation that Greenbrier County is, where they don't have an in-house IT person and they're reliant on the private sector to fill their needs?
Well, there are quite a few across the United States for sure. And the reality is that 80% of those 3,069 counties are what we would call the smaller sized counties. And it does vary a little bit in terms of the support they have, but especially in the rural areas, it is not uncommon, and matter of fact, it is more common, where they have to rely on maybe one other option in the area to support their basic, what we call infrastructure needs. And technology has grown significantly beyond just infrastructure. And so now the challenge is, how does a small rural county stay on top of and get ahead of things like cybersecurity and moving to the cloud and multi-factor authentication? It definitely has changed dramatically in the past, I'd say 10 years, but especially in the past 3 or 4 years. The residents of the county are asking for more. And it doesn't matter the size of the county or whether it's rural or urban. They want to have access to online services. They want to know it's secure and it's the 24/7. You still have some that want to come into the courthouse, but they work 8-9 hours a day, and when they get home, they want to be able to take care of that business.
What's the base level functionality that a county government should have in terms of IT capabilities?
Oh my. Tom, do you want to take that one?
So it's a complicated question because counties serve very different populations depending on both geography and size. and in some cases, services as well. Cook County, being one of the largest counties, has a hospital system. The vast majority of counties don't. Some counties work with school districts. We don't, but for example, Miami-Dade does. So there is sort of core sets of services, which tend to be court services, jail services, public safety through the sheriff's office, and administration, including tax administration. And then, as I mentioned, there may be additional features beyond that, depending on the particular jurisdiction. I would say for any of those, but especially those that have hospital systems and public safety judiciary functions, having awareness and the both the staff capability as well as the technical capability to handle and protect those sensitive regulated data is very, very important. Having reliable network service, because as you noted, most communication is electronic at this point. Even in the smallest counties, I think that's true. Some of this is generational as folks move between generations. The expectation of digital delivery just continues to increase. The typical millennial or Gen Z operates almost entirely on their phone. And then if you sort of middle generations, like Gen X folks, they're generally looking at laptops. And then some of our seniors may not have computing at all and still prefer going into an office. So one of the challenges of all local government, but counties specifically, is having to meet all residents where they are, which from a technology perspective means that you have to maintain both very new and very old ways of delivering those services. And if you don't have dedicated staff to make all those pieces work, then you're really dependent on the vendors. So there's two levels of vendors. One may be for particular solutions. So whether that's somebody who's maintaining your network or offering your telecommunications or running your tax payment system, your ERP system, that is a financial and HR system. Those vendors all have specific expertise, but not necessarily in county operations. So then you also need to have a vendor or staff or a combination that can run the county operations. And even the smallest counties need to have somebody who's in their interest, not the vendor's interest. So it's possible to have that with either staff or a vendor or hybrid. But if you don't have somebody who's focused on the county as opposed to those service and other service vendors, you're really putting yourself in danger. I think applications have to support those key functions that I outlined before. Network and telecom is, again, critical for any organization. And then physical devices. You really can't run any of these operations without having some kind of device, be it a laptop or desktop or so forth.
Commissioner Tincher, how much of your county board's business eventually comes back to IT capabilities?
I believe that really the entire, every department within the county has to have the systems running. And we don't necessarily have interface on the web and to where everything for each department is accessible by the public to that department. But every system for each department has to have IT to function. So if there is a line cut or if we are hacked or there's a part of the server that has gone down, then ultimately the entire courthouse and entire county government is shut down. We try to make sure that we have continuity to where hopefully if we have a server go down, then we have the backup, or the power goes out. If we've been fortunate, we've been able to install a generator that will make sure the entire courthouse stays online if the power goes out, or we have a disaster or anything that would require us to stay operational. But for a long-term aspect of making sure that we stay functional, if one part of that infrastructure, as Rita mentioned, on the technology and IT part. If it goes down, then everything is shut down. And that's really not conducive to today's society and making sure that we can serve our residents properly. So the recognition of that, for me, has come through our programming within NACo to help me recognize that we need to have more understanding and not just dependence on one vendor, because we know that at some point we're going to get hit. It's not if, it's going to be when, and we have to be prepared for that.
So what resources does NACo offer for counties like Greenbrier County that, just trying to recruit somebody for this position might be a pipe dream?
A great question. And so NACo, for 5 years now, we have, of course, an online network of county IT leaders. We call it the NACo Tech Exchange, but that's for those who are already in the county. And folks like Commissioner Tincher, you're on that because, as you said before, not having an internal IT person. So the County Technology Advisory Council that NACo has is made up of about 30 IT leaders across the United States. Tom Lynch is the current chair. And last year, one of the priorities that we talked about was helping and assisting small rural counties with technology, not just innovation, but technology services. And out of those conversations has come the pilot for what we call the CIO Reserves. And the CIO Reserves is made up of a small group of recently retired CIOs or CISOs, security officers in technology, and they're ready to give back. They definitely are engaged. Here at our conference that we were recently at, 2 of those folks have been attending. We have a small group of 5. Again, it's a pilot. And Commissioner Tincher is one of the first counties that submitted the form. But I'd like to, in order to access, as we call it, the NACo list of CIO reservists, they'll be able to pick from those 5 based on the profiles that we've put together. And we haven't just done it in a vacuum. This is where we've actually had the CIO reservists do like a Shark Tank presentation to CTAC, our Technology Advisory Council. And so, Tom, do you want to talk a little bit about that and the perspective there?
Sure. So I think this program is incredibly timely and incredibly useful. Timely because technology, while always advancing, has been particularly advancing so quickly in the last couple of years. Advent of generative artificial intelligence is probably the best example of that. But I think actually digital delivery or expectations of digital services has dramatically risen for the general population as well. So for both of those reasons, for small jurisdictions that may not have the resources, either financial, staffing, or in some cases limited by geography, trying to get talent that has that unique set of skills, it can be very, very challenging. So to me, it's sort of a natural marriage. You have small counties that really have a need, but you also have these recently retired civil servants who, by nature of being civil servants, really like to work with government and care a lot about how government functions and try to help people.
It's tough. It's tough to hang that up sometimes.
That's right.
You don't just go fishing all the time.
That's exactly right.
You want to keep using your skills.
That's right. Exactly right. It's, and so I think that even within that community, there are different individuals, both have different personalities or different skill sets that may be better fit for particular situations. If a jurisdiction is focused on replacing their ERP, they may need to have a specific skill set with project management or expertise in application integration. If they're focused on .gov, then somebody who's familiar with going through that process with the federal government and just sort of knows sort of step by step how that works can be very, very helpful. And so depending on the interest of the reservist as well as the needs of the county, trying to sort of match make which are the best fit, I think is the right way to go. I expect, I guess we'll see, that this program is going to grow very, very quickly because I think that it's going to be a low cost option that's going to really get the right talent to help these situations.
So will it involve house calls, or what is the execution plan for the CIO Reservist program?
We definitely have a plan, and because it's a pilot, we definitely understand that there are, as we work through the pilot and through the different phases or steps in the pilot, that there'll be some adjustments going forward. That's the whole purpose of the pilot.
Trying out, yeah.
Number one. So where we started is we put out a call to CIO Reservists. Here's a form if you're interested. And they completed that form, gave us a profile. NACo staff did a follow-up call with them. And we're like, this is great. You'll be a good fit for this. One of the approaches here is that we want the county to work with whichever one they pick. And you may have a process. Each county could have a different process. And so it may be and let's say in kind. There could be some like that. There could be some, here's my hourly rate. Trust me, it is a lot lower than what you might find elsewhere, because, as I said, they want to give back. The county submitted a form first to say we are interested. The second form, we did a phone call with the county to say, here's how to complete this. And now we're at the next stage, which is to set up a call with identifying, okay, here are the right now the 5. They're looking at the profile and say, I have skills there, or I have experience. One example with .gov, which, while not mandated for counties right now, is a must-have because of the amount of benefits it provides from the cybersecurity perspective. And I know at least one of the 5 went through a .gov fairly recently and can share, like, step by step, this is what we did, and this is how we did it, and how we managed the resident expectations. Because there's a whole set of, you're changing the name of the county domain on the website. That's the easiest way to explain it. So from that, they'll report back to NACo, both the county and the CIO Reservist, to help us evaluate how did it go. Did the county, once they identified their needs, were they met? Did the CIO Reservist have any suggestions to move it forward or to make adjustments or changes? So we're in the middle of the pilot.
Commissioner Tincher, tell me about Greenbrier County's experience thus far with the pilot program, and the information and the needs that you've expressed to your suitors as a reservist.
Well, I think the biggest thing is knowing that we want to make sure we have our services properly set up, and make sure that what we are receiving from our vendor now is the right thing that we need to have. Unfortunately, I personally am not very technologically inclined in understanding all of the ins and outs of this, as well as my fellow colleagues, commissioners on the commission. They do not either. And so, we do have to have a trust in our vendor, but we also have to make sure that we follow a budget. We also have to make sure that what we're paying for is economical for our budget. And so at this point, making sure that we have what we need, we're protected for that when that time comes, and we're able to offer the best services we can to our residents. And by going through this process, we recognize that, the cybersecurity part of it, I feel like we definitely need to be more proactive with our employees, of having them recognize issues that may be arising, whether it be phishing emails and or other things that we could put in place to make sure we're keeping our employees prepared. And then just having a process to where we reevaluate. We're going to begin, or we're beginning the process right now of revamping a website. And so we know we have to do the ADA compliance. We know we need to do the .gov. So we're hoping in this process we can start it all and go through it. And at the end, we'll have developed a good program of technology and cybersecurity for the county.
So, and Commissioner Tincher, I would add too that the vendor that you have now that supports most likely will continue, but this outside consultant, as we'll call it, will help prioritize and give the guidance that and ultimately transfer even some of that basic knowledge to your board of elected officials and be there to validate and evaluate and continue to monitor for at least a period of time.
Right.
And I imagine there's also a dynamic in play when working with a vendor who most of their clients are probably for-profit organizations, or maybe nonprofits, but they don't work the same as governments. Right. So you have a different need as a county government than a business or another service, but there are things that you have to provide that nobody else deals with that type of need, and also that need to have continuity of service.
And I see that a lot with the local vendors. They didn't grow up in county government, and that is really, truly the added value of these reservists. Most of them have spent 20, 25 years in one or two counties supporting the infrastructure. And so they've seen things change and grow. And they have that expertise as well of the importance of relationships between the departments and with the elected officials.
There's important differences even within local government between cities and counties that most vendors, even those that work in the public sector space, don't always appreciate. So having folks that have not just government experience, but county experience specifically, I think can be very, very helpful. As Rita mentioned, the relationship part is extremely important in counties in a way that it really isn't in cities, because in cities, the mayor or city manager is everyone's ultimate boss. And that's simply just not true in county government, because you have multiple elected offices that have autonomy for each of their statutory obligations, but yet you need technology that crosses over the entire enterprise. So having that view about how county operations work and then what technologies are best equipped to support those, I think is a unique knowledge set that's pretty hard to replicate out of the service industry.
The program in general seems like it's a great way to capture people's decades of experience and help other counties benefit from all the work they've done.
Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah, I'm really excited to just see how we're able to progress forward, and I'm really hopeful that by beginning this process, that we can really show other smaller rural counties that this is an option. It's always hard to get rural counties to jump in and to get them to recognize the need. And so I'm really hopeful that is going to be a first step in helping my counties in West Virginia, as well as the rest of our counties across the country, because it really is, this is kind of an advocacy piece for our rural counties, and it will be great to show the successes of it for not only the program, but NACo in and of itself.
That was Charlie Band's conversation with Rita Reynolds, NACo's CIO, Tom Lynch, CIO for Cook County, Illinois, and Commissioner Tammy Tincher from Greenbrier County, West Virginia. And we were talking about the CIO Reserves. This is all part of NACo's Tech Exchange, so if joining the Tech Exchange seems like it might be the right fit for someone in your county or even yourself, visit NACo.org/Tech Exchange. This is one of those moments a podcast will do you wrong. It's not spelled the way you might think. It's Tech, T-E-C-H, Exchange, X-C-H-A-N-G-E. So visit NACo.org/Tech Exchange to learn more.